So Transformers is back with its latest installment, and much like its previous film, I thought this was a lot of fun. But we're going to break it all down, so we're going to get into the review of that film right now. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel today for another review, because today we're going to be reviewing the new film Transformers Rise of the Beast, which is coming to theaters June 9th. So yes, this is Transformers' latest installment in the Transformers universe, and at this point I don't even know what the timeline is, but I can tell you that this does take place 7 years after Bumblebee. So with that timeline in place, you know, much like Bumblebee, this was a lot of fun. But much like Transformers, it was a lot of what Transformers is. And I'm definitely going to break it all down. But this is directed by Steven Caple Jr., who his last film I remember him doing was Creed 2, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And you know, with that, I really didn't feel much of a difference coming off of Bumblebee. I felt the continuity between the two films were definitely there. But listen, as an adult, but yet as a kid who loved Transformers, I got to remind you, in the very beginning of this film, you get a nice title screen that says Hasbro. And with that, I bring that up to say that this is entirely a kid's film. Because yes, there are things that adults will appreciate. There are jokes that will definitely land for adults only. But there's tons of plot gaps and points that just don't make sense. But at the end of the day, kids are going to eat it all up. And then in fact, in the screening, I got to check it out, there was a lot of kids that were just really invested into it. I mean, the commentary coming from the audience was just remarkable. I didn't expect it, but yeah, it was much needed and it was a lot of fun. And it also added to the fun of what the film was. But yeah, as I mentioned, this is 7 years after Bumblebee, but also takes place in 1994. And basically, Optimus Prime blames himself for not being able to get the Autobots back home. So he's kind of dealing with grief in a sense, but at the same time, there's a new threat that hits the earth, but yet a new opportunity, because there may be means for them to get back home, but also that same technology other folks are looking for as well too. This is where we get the Maximals meeting the Autobots with Omnicron being the big baddie, and that's what's happening here. But yet there's a lot of lessons here, because we much like in all of the films, we know that Optimus has a moment where he's the leader, but he makes not such a good decision. There's typically a casualty attached to it where he ultimately learns his lesson and the good guys win. I mean, it's the same over and over and over. I almost want to say it's the Transformers trope at this point of how all these stories are done, and they have not at all deviated from that. But again, even with that, the film is still a lot of fun, and I definitely got some standouts in this film. But before I talk about the standouts, I want to say that this film does, I think, a really good job in mixing the human story points to the Autobots, or should we just say the Transformers story point. Because you have Anthony Ramos' character, Noah, who is trying to supply for his family. He's like, you know, he's a hero to his little brother, Chris. And while he has not always been like on top of his game, he's ex-military. He left the military because he wanted to come home and be there for his brother, whose brother is dealing with sickle cell. You know, he still is trying to find his way. And with that, you know, he does whatever he can. He has this leadership complex to him, and he's totally a soldier. But I did enjoy Noah, the character Noah. Anthony did a fantastic job. Noah and his brother Chris, I really loved that camaraderie amongst the two. While we didn't get a lot of it, and potentially we're going to get maybe more in a future film, I did enjoy what we did get on screen. But I will say, much like Transformers, they typically don't care about the human cast. You know, one moment you got Haley Stansfield there, then the next moment she's gone. I wouldn't expect Noah and Anthony to be back next film just because of that, but who knows? You never know with Transformers. And then you also have Dominique Fishback, who plays the character Elena, who is truly I believe her correct title of what she does is an archaeologist. But without a doubt, she knows her history, and she knows about artifacts, and she's brilliant. You know, I really, really love Dominique's performance in this film. She was so much fun. She brings a character that we don't typically see, so I really enjoyed that. And I also think that, like, you know, on the heroic side of this character, she was a lot of fun as well. And there's some other characters. I want to go all down the list, but I definitely want to start to go over to the voice acting side. And a big surprise to me in the voice acting, who I had no clue was in this film, was Pete Davidson. I didn't look at the trailers. I did see a trailer after I seen the film, and I saw him like in the booth doing his work. First of all, Pete does a fantastic job as Mirage. He's so much fun. His toning is comedic and childish at times, but there is moments of it where it's kind of adultish. You know what I mean? As I mentioned, some of those jokes do land with adults. The kids will just go right over their head. But he's great. I thought he did a really, really good job. Ron Perlman is Optimus Prime, of course, right? A Primal, of course he's gonna body that. You have Peter coming back as Optimus Prime. Michelle Yeoh is Air Razor, who is fantastic as well too. And truly the standout of the voice acting, I think, besides Pete Davidson, has to go to Peter Dinklage as Scorch, who's our villain in this film. Menacing, commands the screen when you hear his voice. I thought that Peter did a fantastic job, but nonetheless, I think the voice acting cast overall did a really good job. Now, I will say, you know, I think that a lot of folks felt like in the previous films that there was like too much human stuff and then too much Autobot stuff. I think it was a good mixture, and I think that the humans had a purpose, the Autobots or the robots or the Transformers had a purpose, and I think it really brought together a really good story. Now, going that the film is in 1994, they hit all of the 1994 nostalgia. The soundtrack is amazing. All of the references, all of the different nods to the year 1994, they hit it all. We get OJ, you know, we get Biggie, we get Tupac, Poetic Justice, Wu-Tang, you know, all of the Jordans, the gear, all of it. They hit all of that, man. I thought they did a really good job in really bringing 1994 in New York to life. So I was definitely with that. I think the film was funny at times. I thought the action was good. Of course, with Transformers, you're always going to get really good action. Yeah, it's not Michael Bay. It didn't feel like Michael Bay, but it was still very solid action. I will say that. And I think beyond that, man, I enjoyed the villain. Again, Scourge was like fantastic again by Peter. I thought this was a legitimate threat. But again, these films are really built the same way. So, you know, much like how all the other films where Optimus sort of takes an L in the beginning, you know, he finds a way to triumph and then the good guys win. But again, the film is not without flaws and plot gaps. But again, I mentioned in the very beginning, you see Hasbro. It is a kid's film. So like the moment you start thinking too much about the film, you kind of take away from the enjoyment of the film. But beyond like the fight stuff, I thought the chase scenes were really good too. When it was just car action and driving around, I thought that was really good too. So overall, this is like a movie that very low key is good. With the hype around Into the Spider-Verse or the Spider-Verse, I forgot that quick what the name of the Spider-Verse, the Spider-Man movie is. But with the hype of that, with the hype of the Flash right now, I just think that like this film quietly gets overlooked. But I totally think it's worth a watch. I think for everything that you expect in a Transformers film, I think this delivers. I think it's definitely still a slight step forward from Bumblebee. A lot of fun. Obviously, John Cena is not in this film, but it didn't lack that star power such as him. I thought together, the whole cast really did a fantastic job. And Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is obviously the film that's killing it right now. We got The Flash coming right around the corner. I definitely think that this low-key slides in there as a film you totally want to check out. I definitely enjoyed this. And by the way, folks, the final act is really, really good. But by the way, folks, I have been desiring something within this Transformers universe. There's been a lot of rumors in terms of what this Transformer universe wants to do. The mid-credit scene is mind-blowing. And the possibilities, the direction in which Paramount Pictures wants to go, they clearly have a plan. They're really trying to step into the game of building big universes. I got to tell you, you're going to get chills when you see the mid-credit scene and what's to come. And with the ending, shall I say, the ending, and there's a mid-credit scene. I'm talking about the ending this entire time, but like there's a mid-credit scene. Forget about that. The ending is yeah. Be ready. It's the ending on the mid-credit, whatever it is, but there's a big reveal towards the end. If you've been on the train I've been on in terms of wanting to see this thing get expanded, then all of your prayers have been answered. But if this comes as a surprise to you, you're going to be excited. I'm very excited. You should be excited. And I can't wait to see what Transformers do next. But folks, without a doubt, check out Transformers Rise of the Beast. It's a really good job. I enjoyed the Autobots. I enjoyed the mammals. I enjoyed everything about the film. Let's just make sure that's in there. I enjoyed everything about this film. And I think that when you go check it out, whether you're on the good guys or the bad guys side, I think everything comes together. The Maximals are fantastic. The humans are good. The Autobots do what they do. Our villains come through, really brings a threat to planet Earth. Double threat to planet Earth. And overall, it's the same old plot with Transformers, but yet you continue to enjoy it, and I think they still continue to make them enjoyable by tweaking minimum things here. So yep, check it out. Let me know your comments, your thoughts about this, and as always, stay tuned for more reviews very soon. Thank you for watching, folks.